I don't know what it'll do any harm internally in this leadership contest, but I think we've got to think about beyond this leadership contest. And while this might fly over fly over the face of a lot of Conservative Party members, in much the same way that Rishi Sunak's own gaffe a few weeks ago had when he talked about taking money away from kind of more middle income areas more working income areas and putting them into middle income areas. I don't necessarily think this will have much of an effect in the leadership contest, but beyond the leadership contest, it might have an issue. And I think that's what both candidates have to bear in mind during this contest, that these things will have a profound impact, I think, beyond this election. This isn't, of course, just an addition to be leader of the Conservative Party. This is an addition to be Prime Minister. And once the dust is settled in our own internal leadership contest, both candidates effectively are going to be plunged into a general election campaign. So I think comments like this are very unhelpful. Obviously, this is a bit disappointing that it was a leaked recording from some time ago, and it's always disappointing when these kind of things come about. But that doesn't matter.
Dan, you're very polite. You're very polite. It's very disappointing. and this will be beyond the leadership contest. Look, I'm Irish, you're Scottish, you're sitting in Edinburgh talking about this. Come on. It must rankle, it must poke at you a bit, because basically she's saying you or your like don't put in the same amount of effort as certain people do in the southeast of England. Whether it's right or whether it's wrong, you don't want to hear it, do you?
No, you don't. And I suppose it's one of those things that in broad daylight you wouldn't ever hear that from a leadership candidate. It's disappointing, as I say, that it's been recorded, it's behind closed doors, and if that's what she thinks, then it is, of course, very disappointing. I understand people can change their positions on things, but if you've got a fundamental belief that people outside of the City of London don't work as hard as people within the City of London, I think that's a belief that kind of shows that somebody's gone a bit native, to be honest.
But it does play into, again, whether it's Northern Ireland, whether it is Scotland, people often think the Conservatives themselves don't care about Scotland. They don't care about Northern Ireland. There is a very heavy belief about that sort of thing. And this really just fans those flames.
I don't disagree, Eamon. I think it's a big problem, and I mean, of course, any leader of our party has to appeal to places outside of London. It has to appeal beyond the blue wall, even the red wall. It was a big pitch earlier on in this leadership contest from some candidates that we need to really start looking at the yellow wall, the SNP wall in Scotland. Comments like this do not help, because at the end of the day, our party has to appeal to undecided voters in Scotland, middle Scotland, the kind of people who aren't unionists or nationalists, the people who probably perhaps voted for us in 2017 but departed from the party in 2019, the people who might vote for different parties depending on who does best for their family, and to appeal to people like that, I think any Conservative Party leader has to be fairly inoffensive, but certainly steer away from making these kind of comments which almost reinforce a London bias, which I know nobody in Scotland likes, no less people in our own party, in the Scottish Conservative Party, because it becomes extremely unhelpful and it causes us problems when we come down to the nitty-gritty of a general election campaign.